Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grave Matters. I'm CreepyClownGirl. Alongside of me is Filia Noctis. Hello, sis. And joining us today is our very special guest host, Possessed Radio. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
And our guest interviewee today is none other than the amazing Dr. Creepen. Hello, Dr. Creepen, and thank you for joining us.
You are really too kind to me. Very, very happy to be here.
Very glad to have you here.
Very glad.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And I am definitely glad to be here. So let's see how it goes.
Let's do. So, real quick, we have Infinite I can't talk. We have Infinite Psychosis in the chat. Hello, Infinite.
Hey, yes. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Infinite.
Hello.
And it looks like Steven's in there. Hi, Steven.
Hello.
Excuse me. Also, please don't forget to like, comment, and share this interview, this channel out so that we can get more people in here. Thank you. So, who would like to start today?
I will gladly field this first if there's no other burning questions yet.
No, there isn't.
Okay. So Dr. Creepen, you are an incredible narrator first and foremost, and one of my all-time favorites. And I've heard some of your Q&As in the past, and I've heard some of your other interviews, and I've heard you ask this before, and it's about your favorite horror movie. And it's an astounding choice. Really, it is. I do think it's underrated, but I don't hear many people claim it. Could you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. And I've kind of said this before, but it's like so much in life is situational. It's who you are, how old you are, where you are in your life, and the kind of experiences that you're going through. So for me, it's I've said this before. My favorite horror film is Halloween 3: The Season of the Witch, which is undoubtedly, how can you even say it? Is it a dreadful film? Is it horrible? It's cheesy as hell. But for me, it was that perfect point in time when, how old was I? I can't even, late 80s, early 90s, I can't even remember. But I was in my early teens, the first point in time when my parents were like, hey, you're old enough to stay up and watch TV until 11, 12, whatever it is. And this horribly cheesy, incredibly awful film came on. I'm like, hey, I get up to watch it. I can stay up as late as I want and watch the whole of this film. And that's what it was. So it's about who you are and where you are in life and, what it means to you. So, yeah, not because I think it's a great film or because, it has any great effect on me, but it's just who I was at the time. So Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch, was the one that was on TV that particular weekend when I came of age, for the want of a better expression.
My favorite aspects of that film are the poster, which is actually really good. It has the silhouette
it's a cool poster
of the three children. Then next, of course, is the amazing song that will infinitely get stuck in your head. And lastly,
if you haven't heard the song, do not watch the film because it will never leave you. Am I right?
It never goes away. It stays in your brain forever. And then lastly, the manliness that is Tom Atkins' mustache. So that's always a redeeming factor.
Insane mustache. Have you
Those
seen the
80s mustaches.
Have you seen the original The Fog? He's in that too.
I have, absolutely.
I have. Yes, I have.
The power mustache of the whole 80s. Oh my god.
Absolutely, yeah. I always thought it was interesting. The first horror movie that I remember watching was Halloween 6 when I was just a little kid. And looking back, I mean, that one's also pretty rough around the edges. So I can understand it, but it spawned something bigger, I think, and and you're still into the genre today, so that's always a cool thing.
Yeah, another early one for me was Jason Takes Manhattan, which is
fantastic.
It must be one of the worst Friday the 13th films, but yeah, that's just insanely bad. But yeah, it's about when it comes along in your life and where you are, and kind of what's going to affect you. Yeah, so yeah,
excellent.
I wish there were better films I'd watched early on, but what are you going to do?
Everybody loves the late 80s scene, the early 90s, so it's not surprising. It's nostalgic.
Yeah. Peak Jason, peak Freddy. Well, maybe not peak, but
he's there. He's in the top 10.
Oh.
Let me tell you about the only film I was about to walk out of the cinema from because I was too damn scared was Seven.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Classic.
You guys have seen Seven, yeah?
Yeah.
I was still pretty young. I went to the cinema to see that, and I'm like, the opening scene when the guy was overfed to death. He's sitting there with the cans of spaghetti. I was about to get up and walk out of the cinema. I'm like, I cannot deal with this. This is super nasty.
That was.
Oh.
How can you leave Morgan Freeman? I mean, of course, I'm a little bit older, so I was comforted by Morgan Freeman. I knew everything would be okay. And then, of course, there was a young Brad Pitt. So,
I mean, it was okay as long as you were, outside the box.
Right? And I was outside the box, and that was okay.
So that's pretty awesome.
Speaking of being in boxes, do you guys remember the movie The Cell with Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah. Oh,
absolutely.
That
Talk about being in a box. That one was that. Wow, the outfits that they had for that one when the bad guy was in the dream, and he had that. He had those cloths tied to his back, but he was like coming down off the wall, and it was that scene where he was like coming down off the wall and they were attached, and that one was just
yeah.
And she
I only
had
saw
that
once,
head
and it's
thing
like,
on.
What, Dr. Creepen?
I only saw that film once, and it must be 20 years ago. But yeah, the imagery of that film was pretty intense. Oh yeah, that's another one.
I had one other quick question about movies too. Oh, go ahead, Filia.
Oh
okay,
no,
go.
I'm good. I'm good.
I know in the past that you said that you were into zombies at one point, and I was just wondering if you had any favorite type of zombie. If you were into the old school Bela Lugosi voodoo style zombies, or more like the classic Romero shambling ones, or even the modern day fast ones. If you had a preference.
I'm thinking back to the Dawn of the Dead remake. That was awesome. I went to the cinema to see that. Ooh, must be 15, 16, 17 years ago. That was I liked it, but at the same time I'm like, running zombies, no, it's just like it's too much of a threat. The whole thing is basically a metaphor for human existentialism. It's like, these are what we are, but at the same time they're the opposite of us, and it's like the whole idea of humanity eating itself. It's a whole sort of a metaphor on modern life and what we're doing to the world and everything, bringing about our own destruction. So the whole zombie thing, even going on to like The Walking Dead, it's just it's us and we're reflecting on ourselves, and it's we will bring about our own destruction.
Yeah,
somehow.
Absolutely.
That's the whole zombie thing for me, really.
Yeah,
I totally agree. It's horrifying to think that what we're doing to ourselves and we are going to be our own destruction. So.
That's kind of like you know, The Walking Dead's gone on too long and it's kind of dragging itself out, but it did get to that point very quickly where it was like the thing you don't fear are the zombies walking around. The thing you're fearing more than anything else is encountering other humans and what they're going to do to you. And I think that was the whole, that was the whole essence of it. It's like, we're going to destroy ourselves, and this is just a reflection of hopefully how society isn't going to go in the next 100 years or so, but sadly it might be how we're going to end up.
Exactly. Real quick, I'd like to welcome Nightmare Files to the chat. Hi, Nightmare Files.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, Nightmare.
Also, Gamma Akutabi is here.
Hi,
Hello,
Gamma.
Hey, hello. Hi.
And I get to say his last name because I'm the only one that can pronounce it.
I'm sure you are. I'm not going to try.
I don't know why I can say it. I looked at that one the first time and went, oh, it's Akutabi. Okay.
Hello, PA Nightmares.
What up, PA?
Hey, PA,
Hey,
buddy.
everyone's here.
Okay. All right.
So I have a question for you, Dr. Creepen. Where do you, or what do you see for the future of YouTube and for the new and upcoming narrators and those that have been around for a while?
That's a really good question. Well, I've always kind of stuck to what I enjoy doing, which is mostly standalone stories, because I just love the idea of the story. Basically, it's a huge, really key part of human evolution. Sorry if I'm going to get like a bit pretentious here and everything, and like going off on something, but
please do.
But yeah, it's there are key points in the history of our species and everything, and one of them was when we kind of hung around long enough for there to be not just parents but grandparents, when we got to that point where we were 3 generations of a family or humans around. And that's when we kind of really evolved, because the grandparents, even if they were only like 30 or 40 years old, had seen stuff and were able to pass it on not just to their kids but to their grandkids. It's like, don't go to that part of the swamp because there's stuff there that'll eat you. Don't go over to the plains there because there are lions that will chase you down and kill you. And you didn't really get that until you got to the 3 generation stage. So the stories that were able to be told were a massive part of the way our species kind of developed. Because there was this point about 100,000 years ago where they believed we were just on this one riverbank somewhere in Africa. And there was about 10,000 humans, and it was touch or go as to whether we were going to make it as a species. And that was the point when they think, well, okay, we've gone past 2 generations, father and son, mother and son. We've gone to like grandparents were first starting to be around. People were breaking bones, but because we were a collective, we were able to, bring the people in and let them heal their bones and stay part of the thing. And we were then able to say, okay, we've got this experience. Let me tell you this story about what happened when we went over 5, 10, 20 miles that way. What happened when we went the other way and we encountered these things. And it was just this awesome thing. And it was all down to storytelling, how we were able to pass down experiences from one generation to the next. And that's what we do. And it's the most incredible thing. It's just the most important job. The most wonderful thing that we're all doing is taking ideas and stories and passing them on to other people. Some of it's just like horror, and it's just like to get, a bit of fun or a bit of relaxation or escape the day-to-day norm of what we have. But it's the whole idea of like, okay, boil down the experiences and pass them on to somebody else. And that's how we've advanced. And it still remains the same. At the end of the day, all we have is the stories that we pass on.
Exactly. And I totally agree. And, you're an amazing narrator, voice actor, and writer. And, your channel has done amazing over the years. It really has.
Very kind of you to say so.
Welcome. Filia or Stephen?
Go ahead, Filia.
we have our first question from the chat room. PA Nightmare asks Doc if he prefers the hero or the villain in the story, and which is your personal favorite kind of character to write, the perfect hero or a great villain.
Now, as in everything in life, it's easy to display things in black or white, and the most interesting thing is right in the center. It's the conflict, isn't it? And it's so any hero should be conflicted, and they should have to confront the evil inside them, or say, well, okay, I need to find a point of morality that I can deal with to make my decision. And that's what he says. There's no such thing as like pure good or pure evil. It's a constant battle, a conflict to come up with, well, what do I do in the right situation? What is right and what is wrong? So I've only written a few stories myself, but it's always been like a key factor, something inside the stories. It's like, within this situation, I know what I think is completely wrong, and I know what is right, and I have to find the middle ground and hopefully make the right decision. And that's the key to like all of horror, all of anything really, is coming up with that point where you think, okay, everything I know, everything I have to deal with, all the experience I have, let me try and just get to the right point. And it's tough. It really is.
It really is.
It is. Okay, so my question is, have you ever thought about doing a series of masterclasses? Because I don't know about the rest of the people listening, but I am literally leaning as far forward towards my laptop as I can be. And I'm wearing headphones, which makes no sense. I'm hanging on your every word.
So, really. Oh, you're very sweet. You really are. I'm just
So,
a guy who...
seriously,
I'm just a guy who picked him up a
you could give him a
microphone
masterclass.
I don't know if I have enough experience or
Okay.
enough knowledge.
Go ahead, Dr. Creepen. What'd you say?
Just
Nope.
a guy with a voice who started reading stories. That's all it is.
And we're so glad you did.
Very sweet of you again to say that.
You're welcome. So speaking of like the stories that you've narrated and everything, is there a genre of horror that you prefer to narrate as opposed to another? Like, do you?
It's something I always try to do is switch things around, and you get something like the vampire genre that's been going for the pretty much 200 years, really, since people started writing about the idea of bloodlust and having to suck the blood out of another human to sustain your life. And it's the whole idea of, there's an illness inside me, and the only way I can overcome it is by sucking the life force from another human. And it's pretty cool. I mean, I love the vampire genre, but it's been going for 200 years. So the whole thing is, where do you go? Where do you go now that's a little bit different? And I wrote a vampire story a month or so ago. And it's like, well, what do I do? Where do I go with this? How do I make it interesting? And there's a few other genres like that as well. I mean, I've done loads of werewolf stories, and it's really cool. I love it, but it's, where do you go that hasn't been touched on before?
Exactly.
So that's pretty tough. Yeah, there's so many things. I'm like, well, if I read a story and it's got something that appeals to me, I'll read it. But yeah, we're so far into this. I'd love someone to come up with a different genre that hadn't been touched on before, but what is it? Where do you go?
So to kind of go along with that, I know you get a lot of your submissions from your subreddit, and I know people who submit to you all the time, and I want to give a shout out to my friend Hugh. I know you've done a couple of his stories, the Gray City Sanitation and the instruction booklet. He's an awesome writer. When you're reading over these stories, what is it that catches your eye to make you make the decision that that's the one that you want to narrate?
Great question, and I'm really glad you asked. The instruction booklet I thought was absolutely nuts. I'm like, what on earth is this? And I'm kind of sad that I haven't really continued to read it, because the whole thing, I'm like, what on earth is this? And that's a beautiful thing when something gets you and like, what am I reading here? Where is this going to go? You don't get that very often. But even the Grey City sanitation thing, that was kind of completely left field. I'm like, what on earth is going on this? So I'm going to be returning to that series pretty soon, because it's that magical aspect. It's like, I've not read anything like this before. What on earth is this? Where is it going? You know, not even just the characterization, it's the whole premise. You don't get that too often. But yeah, deciding what I'm going to do. I like the special ops military kind of stuff a lot, because a lot of people who write that clearly have the expertise. So you're getting into a clearly defined universe, and that's something that's quite important. You know, if you can create your universe and get everybody like inside it and living in that little world, that's really important. And it's not that easy to do. So the military ops ones, a lot of people I think who write that have had some experience with the military, so they're bringing you into their little world.
Excellent.
And,
Excellent. And I like it when I'm listening to either you or another narrator, and I can envision the entire story while I'm listening to it. In fact, I forgot the name of the story. How embarrassing. The other day, your premiere of the story, you know, where that person was trapped in that, or on the island. Help me out here. I feel weird right now.
I would love to help you out, but I have absolutely no memory of any story I read. It's a horrible thing to admit, because a lot of people say, hey, you remember that story you read like last year and when this happened and this happened? I'm like, no, I have absolutely no recollection whatsoever.
It was your last premiere, and while I'm finding that, let's see, it was called, where is it? Okay, somebody else continue while I find this.
Okay. Another question from the chat, from Gamma Akutabi. If you could redo a classic story, how would you improve on it, and which story would it be?
I lost you just for a second there. Could you say it again?
If you could redo a classic story, how would you improve upon it, and which story would it be?
Now that's presuming I have any talent at all in developing on a classic story. Sorry, guys. Well, it's the whole vampirism thing, I think, is based on the idea of hemophilia was a big problem in the 1800s. It's like, blood thinning, and if people like got injured or fell over and cut themselves, they could bleed to death very easily. It's a product of interbreeding, I think, which hopefully I would say was more of an issue in the 1800s than it is now. So the whole idea of vampires and stuff was the thinning of the blood and the needing to sustain your blood amount of blood in your body and stuff. So it was a reflection on society at the time, and a lot of people were hemophiliacs and had problems with their blood and, getting injured very easily and losing a lot of blood. And of course you could update that to modern times. I think it was even the interview with a vampire series that was based on what was her name? Who wrote that book? Oh my god, who wrote that book?
Anne Rice.
Yes. Yeah, her son had leukemia, so he had cancer of the blood. So that was the origin of her writing that. So you could update vampirism to the kind of disease we got, and I think AIDS was back in the 80s. It was a big thing. So you could get the idea of disease, blood-borne disease. You could update that quite effectively, I think.
Absolutely.
Good answer. Good answer. Sleeping Wendigo
Good answer.
is asking, do you
Hello.
like the vampire lichen hybrid?
It's tough. Tough question. I don't know. I don't know. Can I ask a question to you guys? Did you
Yes.
watch True Blood back like whenever it was on 10 something years ago? Did you guys watch True Blood?
I've seen bits
A
and
little
pieces.
bit. Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't. I watched a little
Because
bit.
that was really fun for the first 2, 3, 4 seasons. Vampires coming out into the open, and then some witches came into it, and some werewolves came into it, and you had 3 or 4 seasons. It was really fun, and it went a bit crazy, but that was pretty good. How it incorporated vampirism and other aspects of the supernatural into everyday life. Went completely off the rails towards the end, but yeah, that was pretty fun.
And that was kind of sad, like a lot of good shows like that do that, like The Walking Dead, just name a few. And I cannot find your last premiere. So.
Neither can I, so I'm not going to look. Trust me. Ask me about what I read last week. I'll be like, yeah, I read some stories. I don't know. Yeah, it's fun. Stuff I kind of liked. Well, yeah, I'm in my 40s now. My brain's not as, sharp as it once was. Let me put it that way. But yeah, yeah. People are constantly saying, "Oh, do you remember that story you read last year? The one that had this happen and this happen." Absolutely not. No, sorry.
Okay.
If you ask me what, yeah, go on.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Creepen.
I can't remember what I was going to say a minute ago. Never mind now.
My apologies. There is an echo. Is anyone else echoing? No.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not too bad. Come on, let's keep going. They can
Okay.
deal with it.
Okay.
So in the story, you were everyone starts out with like 1,000 points, and you have to brush your teeth on time. You get 20 points, and then the guy later on in the story goes and he meets number 9999, and she ends up dying and stuff. And I was just
this was the social credit story, yeah?
Yeah, the social credit story. That's the one. And
oh my god, that was absolutely terrifying, because that one seems like it could become real, and it's it's the kind of snowballing effect, isn't it? The snowball rolling down the hill. It's you say something, you do something, it gains approval from one person. They're like, click, okay, and then it gains approval from 2, 3, 4 people. Click, then all of a sudden, you have to go murder people that don't agree with you, because that's what will gain approval. It's just a horrifyingly terrifying vision of what society might be like if we actually adopt such a system.
It is. It's very terrifying. And when you premiered that, I was completely engrossed in it, and I could envision the whole thing. And I'm just like, is our world really going that way? And it is. It's a terrifying concept.
It's kind of like the popularity episode of Black Mirror, where everything was based on how many likes and friends you had and social status. And it was pretty good.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black
love the
Mirror
end
was.
of that
I
episode.
like Black Mirror.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I love
So-
the end of that one, yeah, when the two of them were in the jail cells, and they were just like, they ended up just screaming at each other.
Yep.
Big grins on their faces because they were finally free.
Right?
So you've been doing this for a while now. I think 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So you've had plenty of experience and kind of gone through the ups and downs of YouTube, and I know you get asked all the time what kind of advice you have for people who are just starting out, but I kind of have a different take on that. I was curious if you had any advice for people who are in the middle of the grind. They're not new to it. They've worked on refining their quality. They've worked on, trying to change things up and improve their stuff, but at the same time, they're just not kind of catching a break. Do you have any advice for them?
I'm going to sound really awful because I think I should have 1 million subscribers and stuff right now, and I don't. But part of that is because I've just said, well, I like what I do, and I stick to what I like. And there's some people who started out with me who've had a tiny fraction of the success that I've had, and I'm like, oh my god, you guys are so much better than I am. Production quality, story quality, editing, visuals, and all that. And there are others who just, they churn out, what we used to call it radio friendly, chart hit kind of stuff for the radio. But yeah, you've got to decide whether you want to stick with what you enjoy doing, or whether you want to go for it and do the populist thing. It's like, this is going to get 10,000 views, this is going to get 50,000 views. And there are some channels I'm people I'm friends with, and we're on really, we're in friends, good, good chatting and stuff, and we get on well, and they're just like, they chase the stuff that they know is gonna get the views, which can be like garbage content, but they go for it. And there are others who just go all out for absolute quality and get a fraction of the success I've got, and it's really tough. So that's you've got to decide: am I going to do the things that are going to bring in the views, or am I going to do what I really enjoy? And I'm kind of stuck somewhere in the middle. I'm really thankful. I've had loads of success and I've done really well, but I still think, oh damn, sometimes I'm like, damn, I could be better. I could have more success.
I can totally understand that. I think, where I stand, it's the same from what I've experienced in the short time I've done this, but I know the one time I did like true stories, it was considerably more popular. However, I'm not really into that. So I can get that. And I know, speaking for myself, I had contacted you months ago, the right when I first started actually, and you gave me some advice, which I was appreciative of. So I think that's great advice.
It is very great advice.
Yes.
Just be yourself and do you.
Ultimately, that'll bring you satisfaction, because YouTube can be a really tough and lonely gig, even if you're really successful. I mean, I'm going to say this, since coming up to 2 years, I haven't been working in like a proper job. I've just been doing YouTube. It's coming up to 2 years now. And, I've been able to sustain myself, my family, from the income I've got from YouTube. But it's still really tough, because you have to get up in the morning and say, right, what am I going to do? What's my plan for this week? What's my plan for this month? Do I want to get up and go to work, which is, to be in a room in my house? And there's all kinds of things that play with your mind. Then 100 people leave comments, and you're like, oh my God, I've got to read these 100 comments. I've got to reply to them, stuff. And it plays on your mind. So it's a case of being like careful of what you wish for. No, I'm not. I sound awful, because it's been great. It really has. I'm in my 40s. I've been able to take a couple of years out of not working full time for someone else. But at the same time, it creates its own kind of pressures. So anybody who gets in the position where they can do this, be careful what you really plan it out and think about whether you want to do it or not. I'm in a really luxurious position where I can say, I'm working at home, I'm doing YouTube full time and everything. Oh, poor me, But you do have to think about it, because it plays all kinds of tricks on your mind, on your psyche, that you have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, it's a job at that point, and you can enjoy your job, but every job has its stresses, and there's an unpredictability with YouTube as well. I mean, you can never predict how well something's going to do and what it's going to get you, monetary, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Even 5 years into this, I'm saying, well, I think this video is great. I loved it. I've done my best work. Everything about it was really good. And then nobody wants to watch it. And you're like, what the damn hell?
It gets frustrating, it really does. And you do different genres on your channel, but where do you see it going? Do you see yourself continuing on YouTube for a few more years, or outside of YouTube, is there something else that you do, or is there a hobby you like?
Well, YouTube was a hobby when I started. It really was. And I was an academic, not like a serious professor or anything like that, but I had a pretty good academic career, and I started YouTube as a hobby, and it kind of took over, and I'm forever grateful because it's given me opportunities to do stuff that I could never have done if I hadn't done this. I'm not sure how much you know about my background, but you can tell from my voice I'm English, by origin. But I lived in Istanbul in Turkey for nearly I lived in Istanbul in Turkey for nearly 20 years, and I moved to the Netherlands 2 years ago, based on my ability to generate some income independently. So I could never have done that without YouTube. Now I'm here, and I'm about to re-enter the world of academia in a couple of months. So I'm moving away from being full-time YouTube back into having a job, because, like I said, YouTube can be really tough, and it can play on your mind. No matter what, if you're successful, you're always like, oh, my last video wasn't as successful as the one before. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? Do I get up in the morning and make a video, or do I just like bum around? So it plays on your mind doing this as a full-time thing, and I'm really happy to be going back to work and having more structure in my life.
That is excellent.
Excellent.
Very excellent.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. I'm saying it's a wonderful thing, and I can't, it completely changed my life completely, having success on YouTube. But it brings its own pressures, its own stresses, and everything. And you're completely self-dependent. You got to collect money, pay your taxes, and all that kind of thing. And there's a million and one things. If if 10,000 people watch your video, 1,000 of them might comment, and they all expect a reply to their comment. And the human brain isn't designed to deal with that kind of shit, to be honest. So it's
right.
Yeah. 21st century problems.
Exactly. Exactly. So what are you going to be going into in academically wise?
If you don't mind telling us.
If you don't mind.
I was an English. Yeah, no, not at all. I was an English teacher in Turkey for almost 20 years. I worked in university, so students would have to come and study in English, and I'd help them with their academic writing, how to write an essay and stuff like that. Really, really boring stuff that you don't want to know about. And I won't discuss in too much detail today. And I'm going to be doing the same thing here in the Netherlands. So, yeah, it's all good.
That is awesome.
Well, that does explain quite a bit, because you certainly know your way around the language. And I know that sounds silly, because we all speak the same language.
Yeah, not at all.
But
it's there's a reason why I'm
different.
able to there's a reason why I'm able to talk in a way that's very understandable, and pace my sentencing and everything. I'm a scholar
Yes.
of the grammar of the language, let me put it that way.
Yes. Yes.
You speak very well.
So I have a question. This one was actually from a few minutes ago. What do you think of fantasy horror combining mythology with the horror, like Greek, Roman, even Norse mythology
Awesome.
with mud?
If
Awesome.
you can do it, if it can be done really well, I'm all for it. I read a story a couple of months back, and it was based on the U.S. Marines having to invade ancient Rome for a specific reason, and it was to stop the beginnings of Christianity. And it was an insane premise, and it was beautifully written, and it was just awesome. It was the idea of a platoon or whatever they are of Marines going back to ancient Rome and kicking Roman ass. But, so if
Kicking some
it's
legion
done well,
ass.
it's incredible.
Okay, here we go.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
Guys, can you excuse me for 20 seconds? I need to go get a glass of water. 20
Yes,
seconds, I'm right back.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's take this 20
What?
seconds
You
to say
cut-
hi to some of the people that have come into the chat.
Okay.
I said, let's take this 20 seconds to say hi to some of the people in chat. We've got Care's
Okay.
Death. We've got Evil
Hello,
Outcast.
Cancer. Hi, Outcast.
Night Shift Ruminations.
Hi, Night Shift.
Sleeping Wendigo.
Hi, Wendigo.
Let's see who else we got. I know we've got a lot of people in here.
Is he
Uh,
in here?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Evil
I'm
out-
back.
I know there was more people.
Welcome back, Dr. Creepen.
Welcome back.
I missed you.
Did I
Yes,
say
we
Evil
missed you.
Outcast?
Yes, you did. Twice.
Okay. Okay. I'm just because I'm scrolling. I don't know. Okay. There we go.
Hi, Big Daddy.
Oh, Big Daddy Stone. He is my work husband. He tried to throw me down a well or a borehole. He was gonna kill me. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, next question. This is actually for me. You have teenagers, and I'm assuming they play video games because I don't know many teenagers in Western culture that don't. Do
Good
you
assumption,
have?
yes.
Yes. Do you have concerns about the violence with the video games versus like the violence in a lot of the horror stories? Assuming they listen to your stories.
No, absolutely not. I don't. And
Oh.
I will elaborate on
Okay.
that if you would like.
Yes.
Okay.
You all probably know Frank Zappa, legendary
Yes.
Yeah.
American musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's dead a long time now. Yeah, but he famously said it's like, forget about, heavy metal bands creating Satanism among kids. It's like if you have a love song that affected people, then everybody would be constantly walking around falling in love with everybody that they met, which is just complete bullshit, But it's that's it. It rung true to me. It's like if you're going to be affected by a video game, and that would cause you to go out and commit violence, then you'd listen to a love song on the radio, and then you'd go out and fall in love with the first person that you met, and that doesn't happen.
That
No, it doesn't.
is amazing. That is, yeah. All right, perfect.
Isn't it true? It's
It
true.
is.
It's like
that is so
I
simple.
played a bunch
and-
of Tetris when I was a kid, and I don't go around like arranging blocks into certain shapes whenever I see a bunch of stones.
You didn't develop OCD.
Maybe I did, but I don't constantly arrange stones into piles.
Right? Yep, that is okay.
All right.
Did someone write that down?
So you've mentioned Frank Zappa, and I know I've seen you post about music before, and I've seen you post about Led Zeppelin specifically. And
Yeah.
I mean, is that one of your favorites? Is that your favorite?
Yeah, I'm kind of old school. I mean, I have a brother who's a few years older than me, so I had that luxury of having somebody introducing to me all the stuff that he was listening to. And it kind of helped. And yeah, I got a Led Zeppelin tattoo on my forearm a couple of weeks ago. My son's girlfriend is a
Saw
tattooist.
that.
I saw
a
that.
training-
Oh,
You saw that, did you? It's healed up quite nicely, actually. So I'm pretty
Excellent.
happy with it.
Yeah.
brave.
My dad, he's a huge Led Zeppelin fan. He has been since he was a kid, and he's got all the old
Cool.
vinyl albums. And one of the cool things that he showed me is that on Led Zeppelin 3, if you have like the first edition of it, it has this like occult inscription on the edges of it, because Robert Plant was super into like Aleister Crowley and black magic kind of stuff. And
Okay, I have it. Don't tell anyone because they might break into my house and try and steal it. But I have one of those.
Oh my
Yeah.
Way too much, to be honest.
That's
But
awesome.
Yeah, I got one.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay. I've got a rando question. What is
All right.
just your 2 favorite songs, the first line of each song?
Way too difficult. Way too difficult.
Oh, I thought that would be easy. I'm sorry. Okay. Never mind.
Your favorite songs? I got like 10,000 favorite songs. Ask me again tomorrow, and it'd be a completely different answer.
Okay.
No, sorry, no, I can't. I couldn't even begin to answer that.
Well, Infinite Psychosis asked, is there any actor or actress that you would just love to meet?
You might be familiar with Jason Statham.
Yes.
Yes?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
absolutely.
The two of you in a room, I would die.
Oh,
Die.
nice. Like, teach me how to speak like Jason Statham. Teach me how to do it.
Oh.
I'm your transporter. Can I transport you somewhere? I'd love him to like let me perfect that accent. Terrible
Oh.
films, really cheesy films, but just it was just a bit of fun. I can't resist it. I just love it.
Feel
Everything
better
he's
than
done.
Frank.
Did you know he was a diver and a swimmer before he
I've-
was an actor?
He was. There's footage of him on YouTube. You know, England has this like crap Olympics where it's the Commonwealth. So it's like England, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. We have this like little mini Olympic games, and Jason Statham, I think he won a gold medal or something as a diver in that.
Oh, I did not know
Amazing.
that. That's cool.
Did not know that either. How cool.
So
That
yeah,
is-
there's lots of footage of him on YouTube diving and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I will definitely have
Oh,
to check
who's
out.
that?
But
He was
what
the
I really
football
like
player.
about
Oh,
what's
go ahead.
that?
Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
I was
say,
just going to ask about the.
Go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
We're all interrupting each other here. This is.
I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh wait. Go ahead, please.
When he was doing the Fast and Furious films, they said, okay, we're going to give you some driving lessons. He's like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it. It's all right. They're like, what are you talking about? You can't drive like this. He's like, yeah, I can. So they took him out onto some place, and they said, okay, go on, show us how you can drive. And he did. And they're like, yeah, okay, you got it. So he can actually, all that stuff he did in those Fast and Furious films, he actually drove like that himself. He didn't need any help or any stunt driver.
Oh, wow. That is really awesome.
Now I sound like I'm obsessed with him, and I'm not at all. It's just, I think
No,
he's really
not
funny.
possessed at
Yeah.
all. Yeah. Excuse
I
me.
was going to ask about the footballer turned actor. I can't remember his last name. His first name is Vinny.
Vinny.
Oh,
Vinny.
my
Oh my god. Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Of course, Vinny Jones. Yeah. Yeah, he was in all
Yes,
kinds of stuff. He was
yes,
in some of the
yes.
What was it? Easy High Speed. I remember him from his days as a soccer player.
He pops up. Oh, you do? Okay. He pops up in just some of the most random films, though.
Yeah.
Y-
He has a distinctive look to himself. You know, he has a very distinctive look, and that's exactly what he was like as a soccer player. You know, he'd walk onto the pitch, and he would growl at people. So yeah,
I could see that. He is very menacing.
who would he be like? Kind of like Dennis Rodman, I guess. If Dennis Rodman was in films, yeah, he'd be like that.
Right? So I just got a random quirky question. If you only had 5 minutes to live, Dr. Creepen, what would your final words be?
Oh God, what an insane question! Who said this? I think it was Oscar Wilde, who was lying in bed, and someone came up to him. He's like, "What are your final words?" And he's like, "Well, either this wallpaper goes or I do." And I think you got to come up with something cool like that. It's like, yeah, Yeah, don't take it too seriously. It's like, yeah, this was fun. Thanks. I had a good time. I'm out of here. I think it was Oscar Wilde. I'm not sure. I need to check up on that.
Well, I've got one last question for you here that if you're anything like me and you spend the amount of time on YouTube trying to post things, you also come across a lot of random stuff. And I have found a lot of things that I find entertaining. Have you ever come across anything on YouTube that you think you'd like to branch out and try? If you ever wanted to step away from horror narration?
You know what? If I really wanted to be successful, I'd be doing the English teaching thing that was my actual job. There's some people on there who really suck, and they get like 1 million views on each. Like, this is how to learn this aspect of English grammar. I'm like, what the hell, man? You're awful. You have no presentation skills. The camera works awful, and you're just like standing there with a whiteboard and a marker, like drawing stuff. And I'm like, what the damn hell? So it's taken a huge amount of effort for me to not like go on and do that on YouTube.
Do you ever come across stories that have really good premises, but you just can't read it because the grammar's too bad for you?
Yeah. that's like 90% of what I come across. Yeah, it's really bad because I'm like I start reading it in my head, and then I'm like, I copy paste into a Word document, and then I start reading, and I'm like, and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, this is going to be really tough. Especially if it's like 10,000 words long, which is an hour's worth of narration. You're like, yeah, this is going to be nasty.
My struggle is the run-on sentence. I have to re-record that like 45 times to find a way to make that flow.
Yeah, there's Unit 522, Unit 522's channel. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a guy who writes for him, Tim Sonsky, and he's the master of writing an entire paragraph that's one sentence long, and you're like, and then it's like, by the end of it, I need like an oxygen mask. I'm like, and it's all good stuff, but I'm like, my God, man, you have no idea what it's like to read the stuff that you're actually writing.
I think we have a question.
We do, and I missed it, and I feel so bad. Now I lost it again. Sarah's Death asked if you could narrate any specific genre, what would it be?
Okay, I kind of lost I lost you there, but I see the question in the chat. Any specific genre? Yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What I've been working on for about 3 or 4 years is a kind of a choose your own adventure creepypasta, where I read 10 minutes of a story, and then you say, well, okay, do I want to go through door left or door right? And I'm pretty much getting there, but it's going to be really cool. I think if it ever actually happens and I get my ass into gear, it's going to be really cool, because it's like 30 or 40 different options, and there are 3 or 4 ways of getting out of the house without dying. It's all set in like this haunted house, so you're going to have to like choose a set of every episode is going to be like, well, okay, the person behind you is running towards you. Do you exit down this corridor, or do you jump out of the window? That kind of thing. So yeah, wow. Hopefully I'll actually get my ass into gear and get that out in the next year or so, because that's what I really want to do. I think
awesome.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I remember books. I remember books like that. The choose your adventure
I remember books like that from when I was a kid. Yeah, you'd read a certain point, and it's like, okay, what do you choose to do now? Do you go forward, or do you jump out of a window or something like that? And yeah, so I've got it all planned out, and it's just a case of recording it and making it happen. Really, I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it is going to be a lot of fun. And on this topic, is there a story topic that you are not comfortable with narrating?
Whenever there's elements of sexual abuse or child abuse. I mean, it can fill out the story and it can be relevant to where the story's going, but it's always a bit nasty. I don't like it at all. And I don't do it very often, but when I do, I say, okay, guys, if this is something that might have happened in your life, always leave a bit of a warning at the start of the story. If this is something that might, upset you, please don't listen to this story. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because I know there's a lot of narrators or just people in general that are not comfortable with narrating those kinds of stories.
But yeah, it's a really tough thing, it really is.
I actually narrated a story that had just a little bit of child abuse in it. And it was not described, but it let you know that it was there. And it was on the premise, it was part of it so that the child could be rescued.
Yeah,
that's
it. You've got to balance up whether it's kind of graphic and it's, or whether it's setting up a premise that, will pay off in a nice way. It's always a balancing act, isn't it? It really is, I'm sure it is for you. It's just a balancing act. It's like, does this dominate the story? Is it, there just to like gross people out, or does it pay off in the end in a meaningful way that is good?
Yeah. And it fortunately paid off. And it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't graphic. There was no descriptions. It was just, it described more the emotion than the physical.
One of the stories I wrote was about a young girl who was followed into the woods by a would-be predator, and it was clear that this person wanted to do nasty things to this seemingly young girl, but she turned out to be an ancient vampire who like ripped him to shreds. But it was like trying to set up the premise. Yeah, it was trying to set up the premise where she was in danger and nasty things could happen to her. But it was like you're on that borderline of like, okay, I can't let this happen, but yeah, the payoff was worth it.
That is amazing. But yeah, it's just really hard to sometimes cover that topic. Stephen or Filia or anyone in chat have any more questions for Dr. Creepen?
On a lighthearted note, don't use the term choose your own adventure, because the company that owns that actually sued Netflix when they did the Black Mirror movie, because they labeled Bandersnatch as a choose your own adventure movie, and they actually had to
remember that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Good advice. Thanks. Yeah.
I'm here for all legal help.
Okay.
Who would have thunk that?
So, yeah.
Watch
this video and then see where you want to take it. Choose your destiny. I like that. That's it.
Yeah.
Try not to die.
Yeah, try not to die.
Try not to die at the end of this story. Cool.
So, is there anyone that
Good.
that you haven't collabed with that you would love to collab with?
No.
Okay.
All you guys are welcome. Approach me. I'm incredibly disorganized. If I haven't collabed with any of you, then I would love to. All the big names, I've either approached them or I've worked with them already. And if I have worked with them, it's been great. And if I've approached them, they've ignored me or,
Damn.
forget it. Yeah. I've worked with some great people that I really like and respect. So, yeah. And I was, there or thereabouts for a long time when I had 50, 100, 200 subscribers. And that went on for a long, long time. And I remember that, and I remember some of the big channels saying, I'll give you a chance, work with me. So I've always sort of committed myself to working with people who are working their way up, trying to get some recognition, trying to get their channels going. So I will always work with smaller channels whenever I can, because I was there for a long time and I got the helping hand up by some good guys.
And we appreciate
Anybody
that.
listening to that, bear that in mind. But also bear in mind, I'm massively disorganized and I have no idea what I'm doing from one day to the next. So if you're like, hey, do you want to collab? I'm going to say yes. And then if I ignore you, I'm not really ignoring you. I'm just really, really disorganized.
Okay,
Amazing.
we have one last question from the chat. If you were on the Warhammer 40k universe, would you side with the Emperor of Mankind or the Chaos Gods? And if so,
This
which
is
one?
an awesome question. Awesome question, because I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and I'm completely incapable of answering on either side. Sorry, guys.
I didn't know what it was about either. I was hoping you would.
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
don't
a
really
game.
know. Well, I mean, I know Warhammer 40k is a game, but I don't know enough about it. But I do know that Chaos Gods sounds pretty dope, so probably go with that one by default.
Me too. Yeah, I like the sound of the name. That's it. That's all I'm going on.
Okay.
So I have one final question. If you could write any chapter of your life in a book, which chapter would it be and why?
Wow. Okay. I've kind of lived all over the world, but I spent about a year and a half in America. And it was, my life is pretty much split before I was in America and after I was in America. So that would make for a very interesting chapter, I would think.
So you did spend some time in New York, is that correct?
I was in New York State. I was in Rochester, New York, up near the Great Lakes.
So what was it like for you to visit there?
Great, awesome. No, I lived in Rochester for a year and a half, something like that. Brilliant, fantastic.
It's awesome. Any plans in the future of coming back to the States?
I'd love to. Yeah. At some point, definitely. Yeah. No, I had a fantastic time, and like I said, that was what's that? My early 20s, just about drinking age, which was good. Obviously, I could drink that. So yeah, it's like my life before I lived in America, and then after. That's kind of like the not the that's the point when I always reflect on how my life changed. So it was a really formative experience for me living in the United States, and I would never ever give that up. Anything.
You should do a speaking tour, or well, not speaking, but a narrating tour just around Halloween, where you go to places and you just read your stories, and people will pay to come and hear you. I know you have fans all over.
You know the No Sleep podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of said, you guys are going to be in Europe. I'm totally on board for being a part of it. They never got back to me, which was a little bit sad. I think I contacted the wrong person, to be fair. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is surprising. All right, we've got
doing
enough
it live,
people
live on
listening
stage.
right now.
Oh my god, doing this live on stage must be a completely different thing. I'm sure.
Well, they were wearing masks. They wear masks. We don't get to see them. We don't get to see their faces.
Okay, guys, how are we all doing? Because, like I said, I had my COVID jab today.
Yes, we know. You're
Definitely a little bit under the weather. It's just coming up to midnight here, so
Okay.
I
We're
hope
gonna
you're
go.
gonna be very nice to
Yes,
me and
we're going to-
excuse me in a few minutes.
Absolutely. We don't want to
Yes.
keep you any longer than necessary. We
So-
appreciate that you came with us
Yeah. Thanks for
It's been a
chatting.
beautiful journey,
Yes.
guys. Beautiful
on this
journey.
little adventure.
So we'll go ahead and start closing the show down, and we'll have Dr. Creepen send us out. Sis, go ahead and start.
I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Raven, great job on the back end. Patience, thank you for letting us have him yet again. Stephen, thank you for all of your help today. Dr. Creepen, once again, it has been a wonderful journey with you. And Creepy Clown Girl, thank you for being my partner in crime again.
You're welcome. Stephen?
Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for having me on. I always like chatting with people, especially you, Filia, and Cece. It's always great to be here. And it was great to get to chat with you, Dr. Creepen. And keep up the awesome work, man.
Thanks, guys. And listen, if I can help any of you out in any way, if you need anything from me, get in touch. I'm always up for helping any other channel. Bear in mind, I am the most incredibly disorganized human being on the planet, so if I don't get back to you really quickly, don't worry about it. I'll get to you sometime. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me.
So,
Thanks, Doc.
thank you, Doc. And that's very awesome and kind of you. So to everyone in the chat, thank you for the awesome questions. Thank you for coming by. Thank you to Raven and Patience, as always. Thank you to my sister from another Mr. Filia. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us today. Again, Dr. Creepen, a pleasure to have you here. Awesome interview, and I really enjoyed it. And until next week, remember everyone, stay frightened. The graves do whisper. Oh, and real quick, don't forget, Friday, July 23rd at 5 p.m. PST, we will be interviewing Lady Spookaria. So until then, good night, everyone.
Good
And once
night.
you join, good
Bye.
night.
Bye.